Greetings, fellow football managers, and welcome to a quick little deep dive into one of the most exciting new roles that you can actually use in this version of Football Manager. And it's very cool because now you've actually got a way to execute this role, which we didn't actually have before in FM24 and any of the previous iterations. However, there are questions. Just like there are questions when this role gets used in real life, you have to make a lot of compromises. So I'm actually going to give you another way to kind of get this role from your tactics without actually using this role. So I'm going to finish up with that. But first and foremost, I want to go into this role. First, let's start a little bit about the background of this. I think it was Pep Guardiola who came in to his Bayern Munich team and said, I want all my best players to play in the middle of the pitch. And there was a guy called Philipp Lahm in that squad. So he came in there and started playing as a central or defensive midfielder rather than his traditional fullback position, which we all know and love him for. Then a few years later, Trent Alexander-Arnold came along for Liverpool and was one of the best passers in the league. So Jurgen Klopp decided to get the most out of him in a playmaking wingback kind of role. And that's what you can see that I'm trying to do here with Dominik Szoboszlai, because Trent Alexander-Arnold is not in this squad. Szoboszlai has passing 16 and vision 15. He's also relatively competent at right back in this edition of the game at the start, so I think we can make this work. Let's have a look. Into the match we go. Okay, we are kicking off and we're in full match mode. I think I can pause things, and as you can see, we've got 4 seconds on the clock, and look at how my defense is shaped up. We've got our left back who is an inverted fullback. Now, I think that's one of the key things about this role, that you need to actually support it from other parts of the pitch. And even though that's the left back we're talking about, it is going to come into play. You can see how the playmaking wingback has already gone up quite a bit. If this is the back line, he should be in this position as a fullback, but he's come inside and gone forward already. He's essentially almost in a direct straight line with our right-sided centre-back here. What about around him? I've got Wirtz there, Isak there, that's a centre forward. Wirtz is, I think, a channel midfielder, and we've got Mo Salah on the right-hand side as a wide forward. Look at that. Takes a few touches, moves the ball aggressively, and he's off on a run right into the opposition back line already. Now, let's see if we can actually play through. There he is in the middle. You can see there immediately there was a slight thing you need to think about when you're playing this role, how close he is to my right central midfielder. Even though I've got this guy set up as a channel midfielder, which is a runner and somebody who should aggressively get forward and wide and free up that space, there's still going to be a slight conflict in terms of that space, which could be a good thing. You might want to overload the middle with short passing. Could work. And I think I have short passing set on this tactic at the moment because this is a good passing team. The DM, meanwhile, is all the way back there and out of the way. We've got kind of a defensive V shape, and that is again because of the IFB on this side. I've used that IFB to give the right centre-back the chance to go to the right-hand side of the pitch. Because look at this guy's positioning. Dominik Szoboszlai, he's almost dead centre of the pitch. And on transitions, that's going to create a whole lot of space on this right-hand side, which is something that Jurgen Klopp found out when he was using Trent Alexander-Arnold in this role. So that is definitely something you need to think about. You need to think about the transitions. And one of the ways to do that is to actually use this IFB on this side, which pushes the CB onto this side. Obviously, a back five system could be cool as well when you have a wide centre-back. That is something you can do straight away, and it is covered for quite nicely. All right. Okay, we've just won the ball back with an interception from Joe Gomez over on this side. Let's have a look at our guys getting their heads down and running. That's our wide forward. That is our channel midfielder. So those two guys are very keen on counterattacking. And so is Isak. He's already turning to make some runs. We are interested in our friend, the playmaking wingback. He's not in shot at the moment. Let me see if there's a way to actually get that working for you. Shall we change perspectives and go for the tactical cam? This will actually help us see this guy's position a little bit better. So I'm going to have my selector on him. This might be really small on your screens. I apologize for that. But given that it's such a wide role to begin with, we need to see his movement right up. Look at this. We've had about 2 seconds of the counterattack, and he's already herring forward. And he's getting into our midfield line, as you can see. So the ball comes back to our other midfielder on the left-hand side. He's going to take some time, play it around a little bit. and you can see where our playmaking wingback is. He's right on the central circle, and he's actually worryingly close to the channel midfielder on this side. So do I want to play a more aggressive role from this guy? Maybe. That might be something to think of immediately, because this is the second time in 2 minutes of match time that I'm saying, these guys are a little bit close, aren't they? So let's see what happens when the ball goes out to the right-hand side. Channel midfielder on the ball, and obviously he's such a good player. He's going to have some impact on things. Now, Szoboszlai's on the ball. Salah's making a run on this side. He's just about onside. So me personally, I can see this pass going in here. See if he can see it. No. Oh dear. Well, he's not going to play it all the time, is he? But you can see how much this guy's on the ball and how aggressive he is with his positioning. That was poor. Let's get back to this in a second. Okay, picking back up, we are on a little bit of a counter-attack again. Isak intercepted, and he's laid it off to Salah, and now he's making the run up the middle. But again, our boy is right over here. He is so aggressive in terms of his positioning, and Salah's very happy to give him the ball back and let him try and dictate. So that combination is happening very nicely. That's a lot like watching real-life Trent Alexander-Arnold from a couple of years ago, the way he links up with Salah. And look at, again, the positioning. He got wide for a bit, but now he's coming back infield as the ball goes into the midfield. All right. Just want to point out something here. We've got the line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. That's kind of a front five. And then we've got the 2 and the 3 here, which is a bit flexible. Gomez might go up a little bit now and then to make a 3 in midfield. But we've essentially got that 3-2-5 formation, which is very, very Pep Guardiola, Arne Slot, that kind of thing. And the reason I bring that up is that is one of the ways to make the playmaking wingback work, because you need that transitional cover behind him. Because he goes so far out of position, when the ball turns over, there's lots of green grass for a winger on that side to run into. As you've probably seen if you've watched anything from Liverpool's play when Trent was around, there was so much comments about, Trent can't defend and stuff. Look, it's all about the transition. It's not that he can't defend. Okay, he's not the best defender, but it's about where he is when the ball turns over. Look at where Szoboszlai is at the moment. There, right there. He's so far up the pitch. There's such a lot of room to transition. Now, as we work the play up to the flank, we have this guy approaching a shooting position. So if you actually want your right back or your left back to get in the goals, I could see, for example, a left back with a right foot getting into this kind of position. That should result in a bunch of goals if he's got decent long shots. Yeah. That almost looked like a Liverpool goal. Okay, we're on the ball again, and Szoboszlai once again is involved, and he's linking up really nicely with that player on the right wing as a wide forward. But again, you need to watch out. This is a world-class player that we're talking about, and he still loses the ball a little bit because he's quite aggressive with his in-possession play. He's trying to dribble. Look at that. He takes it away with the first touch, dribbles a little bit, and I've tested this a little bit with my Liverpool women's save. And let's be honest, the Liverpool women's team is nowhere near as good as the men's team. There's a couple of world-class players there. But in general, the ability of the squad is quite low when you start off with. And I had my right back trying to play like prime Ronaldinho with a dribbling attribute of 10. Yeah, so you do need to be a little bit careful about what kind of play you put in there. Check out the attributes. Obviously, first touch, dribbling, off the ball, for example, decision making. There's going to be a lot of very, very important attributes on top of the whole playmaking thing, like vision and passing. You're going to need those, obviously, but you're going to need a little bit of intelligence and a heck of a lot of technical quality. Otherwise, that player's just going to lose the ball, as you saw a couple of times already. But if you want the most out of them, they need that. Look at that. Again, touch. So you need that first touch, and there he goes. He's so tightly marked, and here comes the transition. The winger's out there and roaring at us. Luckily, we've got another DM to help us out, and that's what I don't like about this match engine. Wingers are just so deadly. That shouldn't really have been an opportunity for them to score that easily because there was two players defending, but he just wiggles around and scores. For me, that's one of the weaknesses of this match engine. I haven't quite figured it out yet. To be fair, that's a good player with pretty good stats, and he can pull out that kind of thing still. I think the only kind of goal I concede is with wingers doing crazy things. Anyway, here we go. Once more, you can see how aggressive the positioning of our playmaker is. Okay, so we're back into my favorite tactics screen. And again, now we had that positional conflict between these two players over here, 7 and 8. So something that you might want to think about doing is getting him into the attacking midfield kind of role so he runs forward even further. There is a possibility about playing him as a wide central midfielder so that he'll make more of this lateral move. But again, with a winger on this side, I'm not sure if you really need to do that, but it's something you can experiment with and see. Again, with a playmaking wingback, it's super important to design what's going on around him. What passing options does he have? As you saw, there was a really good link up with the wide forward there, a lot of give and goes and things like that. With a winger, it might be slightly more different. He'll be more of an aggressive runner on the outside, but I find the wide forward to be a really cool role. Again, a DM partnering up with him was useful because as soon as he lost the ball here, the DM was able to help out a little bit quickly. Also, the IFB here means that the right centre-back will push out even further to that right-hand side and be slightly more available on the counter-attack. You might want to actually have him over here as a stopping centre-back as well, so he's even more aggressive in shutting down those transitions. Again, though, this is just one tactical setup. It could be doable if you, for example, have this kind of setup with a back three. You can then play this guy as a wide centre-back, for example, and then the playmaking wingback can come in right in front of him, and that gives you the option to actually change this guy to be a wingback as well. So then you can have a wingback and a playmaking wingback in the same team. But in my opinion, that is best done with something like a back five or a back three, whatever you want to call it. It's a little bit tricky with a back four because if this guy gets up the pitch and this guy's so high up the pitch, you are in a little bit of transition as soon as you lose the ball. So I did mention earlier that I would give you another way to actually get that kind of performance from a player that we were just getting and maybe be a little bit nicer on the transition. Now, previous editions of Football Manager didn't have these options. They obviously didn't have the role. The playmaker from fullback just wasn't a thing, so we had no way of designing this whatsoever. But now we also have in possession and out of possession formations. Now, one of the fundamentals that I've been going on about for years is the fact that this is the key formation that we used to talk about. It's the out of possession formation, the 4-4-2, the 4-3-3, whatever it is. These are generally out of possession formations. And that's the way it was with FM24. You are setting up your out of possession formations, and then generally it's the player roles and the specific instructions that then create the in-possession formation of something like a 3-2-5. I'm still kind of going that way by setting the out of possession and then kind of mirroring the in-possession, although sometimes I might have a more defensive out of possession. Something like this might be my out of possession for this formation, sometimes. But then we have roles as well, like tracking winger and stuff, which really help. My point is, this used to be the status quo. What you now can do is actually design something like a crazy in-possession formation, which does what you want it to do. So, for example, like this. Then let's get Van Dijk to the middle. Let's get Gomez over here. And now we've essentially got our in-possession tactic. Right? We can then make this guy a deep-lying playmaker. And lo and behold, we are sorted out. We can also set these things like wide center back, and let's make this guy a wide center back. Gravenberg's going to be a DM on this side. Wirtz can be, shall we make him a free roll? Let's make McAllister a basic AM or something like that. Yeah, let's make him a basic AM. Let's make Gakpo a winger and Salah is a wide forward. Isaac is a center forward. So this is suddenly the way you can do it. Szoboszlai shifts into the DM position in possession. So again, the team starts off like this. He shifts up here and becomes a playmaker. This is just something I threw together right now. It is a way to get the same performance, but with slightly better, let's say, defense against the transition. Because you've got this guy set up as a WCB. You don't need to have him as an IFB and then hope that the CB gets out far enough. Also, he's just a DLP here. He's not going to go up all the way up to the edge of the box. He's going to be about 10 yards, 10 meters more conservative than the playmaking wingback. But he's still a playmaker and he's still kind of in that midfield area. Let's see if this works. So just quietly, Chelsea have scored again through Garnacho's adventures on that left side. Let's take a look at that again. Gets in and then cuts inside past my right back, who's stationary. Then plays a nice little pass in. To be fair, that's a nice goal. But I still think the interaction between the fullback and the winger is a little bit weird. Plus the physics, like body against body collisions aren't a thing. Players can just go straight through the space of another player. And again, look at that. It works. He goes right into the middle. Kind of in the same position, but he's staying a little bit further back. He's a tiny bit more conservative, not pulling out all the tricks and flicks immediately on the first touch. Although there wasn't anything on for him. Yes, we are vulnerable on the transition, but you can see how fast Konate gets out there to cover up as a wide centre-back role. Right? So this is a way that you can actually build a playmaking wingback without using the playmaking wingback role and having this player being a little bit more conservative. Look at that. He's not taking those Ronaldinho touches anymore. Before that, you could really see those extravagant little touches that he was taking. And this is something you need to be really careful about. Whereas a DLP isn't going to be quite as extravagant. He's going to be a little bit more refined. He's not going to behave like your party boy in the midfield. Okay, that'll do. Guys, thank you so much for the listen. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, subscribing, commenting, all of that stuff. I will happily talk to you in the comments below. Have a great weekend.